All right, as a founding member of the local Tea Party, you served as a watchdog and then ran for mayor of Quinlan. And you soon began to bring city expenses in as much as $800,000 below budget. So I think that would tell anyone who feels they've been taxed enough already a little story. And I've got a previous interview with you about the mechanics of that.
Yeah.
But something that that you've been able to accomplish, holding that office for 2 years, is necessary to tell others involved in the same activity
Sure.
what to expect when you really ruffle from some feathers and you really get some results. You were beat through dirty tricks, through the door-to-door shoe leather campaign.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that. We need to talk about a Public Information Act request that you did that that an associate of yours authored, and there's a matter of a great deal of controversy about that. It's not necessarily being handled right. It occurs to me that a closed society in which there's strict information control is mind control.
Sure.
And you know, you started off by showing me a copy of one of your chief detractors' telephone bill, City Councilman Carolyn Strickland. And could you explain the significance of that to me? I'm sure that there is one. It's just that I'm not up to speed on it.
Well, it was actually Mr. Massey that brought this to my idea. We had been having trouble with block voting and polling and just everything else that's going on, but if the members are not meeting in public, around here it's a small town, you know, 1,500, 1,800 tops. You know, during the day when school's in, you know, quite a bit more than that, but I mean, they come in and run that meeting as if they hold the agenda. There's just no stopping them. When you have a majority of the meeting that has already made up their mind and planned out what we're going to do, it's impossible to stop them. But it's also a crime. And you know, after the Freedom of Information Act request, I got mine ready and gave it to the city secretary. I had to order it from the National Archives, which is kind of a weird thing. But anyway, we all turned them in basically on the 30th. We were all about a day or two late. And that didn't really make sense to me. Most of the council members could just print them off on a computer. But what they did was they went ahead and redacted their phone bills to take all of the personal calls off, which would leave necessarily all city business calls. But the fact that 2 of them redacted all of the phone calls total, stating they've never placed a single call to another council member, to me, to the city hall, to Public Works, to anywhere. And that was just for over a 4-month course of time. I knew we'd have a collision of phone calls. The first time these were requested, we had a big collision from Mrs. Carolyn Smith. She didn't refuse to turn hers in. She said, I don't know how to get them. So I told my city secretary to make herself available, and you know, she can get these things in a matter of minutes. Well, that was unacceptable. Mr. Goldman had a plethora of calls to myself, Councilman Goldman, members of the EDC, which he's also a member of.
Now, he's was your opponent, and he's the mayor-elect at this time.
Yes. No, he was sworn. He should have been sworn in last night.
Oh, okay.
But he is also the president, or the vice president, of the Economic Development Committee.
Okay.
Now,
is that the real power center at this point of evolution?
But it is the second most funded, second most powerful board in the town. And, you know, they sit on quite a bit of money most of the time, and they don't get a lot accomplished. I don't know if it's inner fighting. I haven't spent that much time paying attention to it. But, you know, basically I can't think of one single item that they voted in and completed. They're still fighting over the same one they were 2 years ago. It's a small $156,000 item, but but I don't know why we can't agree on it enough to get it voted in, get some engineers hired, get some bids, and get it done.
What kind of project is it?
It's an extension of a water line from one of our restaurants in town down Spur 276 up to the corner where our city limits stop. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was Miss Carolyn Strickland or Carol Petty who had brought this up, because I remember asking specifically with my city administrator, so you're going to extend this water line down and you're going to put a fire hydrant all the way up there in the corner where the two highways meet. Where's the economic development in that? How is that supposed to start to earn an income or even pay for itself? And I was told that when people drive by there and see that water hydrant, they're going to know we're safety conscious and want to move here. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. There's a lot of things that would make people want to move here. A fire hydrant at the end, away from our town, at another highway coming in from Wills Point, I don't see how that's ever going to generate a land rush for this place. It's ridiculous and redundant. But even though we did that, we still haven't accomplished our goal. Many months have went by.
Okay, so it could very well be that it's planned to set up for failure.
Oh no, can't fail. This one cannot fail, Jim. It's a couple of pennies on the dollar to the money they hold. I just don't think that we need a board that well funded and that powerful to sit around and rot away.
So they actually have taxing authority.
Well, we do it. We tax 2.5%. We tax the 2% for the city. The other 0.5% is for the EDC. It's a check that averages anywhere from $30,000 at a minimum to $43,000, $44,000 at a maximum a month. They have no overhead. They do not lease an office like most do. They do not have employees like most do. They buy, very little Arima paper. I mean, I don't even know that they have a single piece of office equipment. When I got here, most of it was being done by the city secretary. Well, I kind of had a problem with that. My city secretary works 40+ hours a week for the citizens. At no point in time did they ever intend to pay her for her time or to compensate the citizens for the time that she took off their dime.
And so she just happens to be in collusion with the incoming mayor. The two of them put on a real bodacious shoe leather campaign.
Sure.
Door to door. Can you run that down for our viewers? I mean, how was that done?
Jackie hustled up the election. He got him some signs and got him out. He was going door to door early in the game by himself, as a politician would do. But the last couple of weeks before the election, and I mean, I would have loved to run. I would have loved to. I didn't think that I needed to put an all points bulletin type bombardment on the city. I did everything I said I was going to do for cheaper than I figured I could do it. But when you have a councilman going around, and I want to get this right. He was telling people in the town that I probably wouldn't even be here for the election because a citizen, but who he would not name, had told him that he had found me uptown, blacked out drunk a couple of times, and had to take me home because I couldn't get there by myself. And well, since that's one of the three items that a council member or mayor could be immediately removed from office for, public intoxication, that's the life sentence right there. And as things went by, and he went to a couple of my relatives' house. I guess he didn't know they were related to me. They immediately called. I got a lot of calls. I got calls from a dozen or so citizens, three of my kinfolk, and told me, well, that wasn't good enough. You're an idiot, Jackie Goldman. Donnie doesn't really drink. That's humorous. He was telling people that I was insisting that the places I go, I like you, I'm kind of into the music thing, and I really like the live music better than the canned music, that I was instructing management at the clubs I went to put me in a special seat and to announce over the loudspeaker for their patrons that they should all bring me a drink to my table. So Mayor Donny Brock, he's right down here, shine the lights on him, let him wave around, and you can just hold your own little version of complain to the mayor. Now I thought to myself, if I'd heard anybody say that for any reason, I'd have thought, you're a fool. But I guess if you're just hit with it in the face often enough, that little story ran its course pretty quick too. Another week of it's all it'd take. It went from there to I've been caught by the chief robbing the evidence locker. And any day now the warrant's going to show up for that. It's never ending. I mean, with Carolyn Strickland, it's been 2 years worth of it. To be honest, my little 15-year ago run on the drugs, the only thing that she knows about it is what I told her about it.
Well, do you feel that this type of criticism, these kind of dirty tricks, tactics, that they might have something to do with the fact that when you came in as mayor, you found, how did you put it, a whacked hard drive and a server with a recent lobotomy.
Yeah.
And 6 lawn and leaf bags filled with shredded documents. Mm-hmm. And you know, you began to question the budgetary items such as building repair fund, you know, large expenditure.
Yeah. Mileage, overtime. There was a ton of stuff. It wasn't just just one list of things with Billy Green himself. It was a list of things that he and only he had the power to manipulate.
And the bottom line was that at the end of your austerity campaign and your absolute insistence on accountability, you found that you were bringing in the city budget at $800,000 less than the city expenses $800,000 less than. It was
pretty close. I mean, that's over 2 years. I mean, I was given the start fund I knew I would need no more than he did. I didn't request any more money from the council to start working with the budget on. My council likes to believe that I'm the silly little redneck that's I was completely underestimated by Billy Green. That they'll never underestimate me. They got my ticket. But we put an honest one together, and I didn't let the city council members have as much leeway in it as they should. I say as they should have. They never should have had that to begin with, as much as they wanted. And I just tried to explain to them, look, I don't need a lot of input from you people, mainly because you don't do anything here. I need to talk to the department heads that sit in those seats that order those goods and services. Who needs a truck? Who needs 3/4-inch PVC fittings? Those are the people I need to talk to. And they'd scheduled workshops and budget workshops where they could get up there and say whatever they wanted. But I mean, when it came right down to it, they were no help. They had no honest input. They just had a list of things that they wanted, and if I could fit that in and it was realistic, I did. And if it was not, when we presented the workshops, I just mixed the paperwork up. Nothing was really changed. I was working on my own budget. I was better at this than they were. So we shuffled the presentation around and gave it to them 4 times, and we finally got to do what we did.
Is there anything you'd like to add about assailing problems like this and then making your exit? Because your exit is inevitable. I mean,
sure.
It's not a lifetime job. Most people in East Texas or anywhere in Texas or the South or Midwest or Great Piney Woods or the Northwest, whatever, and nobody wants to be mayor. I mean, it's got to be pretty much of a burning emergency to want to be mayor. And then once you do it...
It was a lot of years in a row of looking at a little old dirty town that had no real prospects, that had no real items that you would want to associate yourself with. I mean, everything here that we had needed a bath, be cleaned off, evaluated, and most of it, some of it needed to be replaced, most of it needed severe attention. After watching your town go through that for 6-7 years, and like I say, I always kept track of our revenue, always kept track of our situation with the Census Bureau. Not really road studies, traffic studies, but I kept track of how many houses were up for rent at any given time. There's not a lot of them. So we stayed pretty full all the time. But nothing's getting solved.
So really, people are not getting their money's worth. I mean, they're getting ripped off, and
Well, they were. Yeah.
they were not today. So apparently, a lot of people dislike that. There's some reason that that's a threat to them, and they decided that.
Well, we have 3 people of power. I got 3 council members that are the voting majority for the city council that also sit on the EDC.
Mm-hmm.
They're also, you know, they're 1 vote shy on any given subject of being the, you know, the internal majority. That should concern people. I mean, it's not discerning to citizens who don't, you know, don't come to meetings, don't pay attention, don't know what they have, don't know what they're supposed to do, don't have any idea how much money they got to do it with. You know, these are things that in any town, most people don't. You know, there's no housewives that do laundry and take care of 2.2 kids that could tell you at any given time how much money does the EDC have in it available, what items of interest are, you know, in the works, and what is that going to leave us beneficially with when those projects are finished.